everybody. I am Nia, the Vixen of Fiction, and you are here on my channel, and we are hosting today Book Covers Made Easy with Canva. Now, this is not about necessarily book cover design. That would be a whole other video, but we're just showing you how to use the elements of Canva to make a book cover to use for an ebook, or to use for a full book wrap, or to use for your social media and things like that. So I'm going to let my guests who are co-hosting this this portion of the AWC with me, I'm going to let them go ahead and introduce themselves, and then we'll get started with the presentation.
I'm Laura Nettles. I mostly write horror. I have a book out right now called 10 Shivers. It is 101 horror short stories, flash fictions, travels, things like that. There are 2 signed copies up for auction or raffle auction, whatever it is, for prize winners for the AWC if you submit a feedback form after each presentation. The link for the submission, the feedback form, is in the description. That's me.
Hi, I'm Esther Maria Duhar. I am a Boricua writer aspiring to be a hybrid author. I have a YouTube channel, and I publish a serialized paranormal romance through Kindle Vella Coffee and Patreon.
All right. And again, you're here on my channel. I host streams on YouTube and on Twitch, and I am a fiction writer of historical fiction, sci-fi, and fantasy, and a romance. And we're going to go ahead and get started. There is some speed through for some of the elements as we're working, because these things, going through Canva, you'll learn it takes a while, especially when you're searching for things. So at the end, during the Q&A, if there's anything that you want us to zero in and show you, we will be glad to do that. And right now, we're going to go ahead and get started with the presentation, and we'll see you guys back after. Nope, that's not the one I wanted. I guess we'll be at the bottom.
It's the far right layout.
Oh, the far right layout? Oh, it's not showing me that one. That's why. I'm like, it cut me off. I was like, I know there is one. Thank you so much for that, Laura. And here we go. I'm Nia, and I'm going to take you guys through the first part of our AWC presentation, Book Covers Made Easy using Canva. The first thing we're going to do today is I'm going to show you where you can get some ideas for what a current book cover looks like, so that you can begin your design. And then I will show you how to create a design based on a model or mock-up of a template from Canva if you don't have the paid, so that way you can see what you can do with a free account and elements that you're able to use with a free account that you don't have to pay for. And then I'm going to take you through starting from scratch, making a design using the design elements that you find elsewhere on the internet or through searching when you're looking for your book cover ideas. So you can take those book cover ideas. You can also use the Canva templates to give you some ideas on how to create your book covers. And so we'll go through the second part. We're going to make it with Canva Pro, so you can see all the bells and whistles and all the things that you can do. And there's so much more, but I'm trying to make 2 book covers in less than 15 minutes. I'm going to go as fast as I can. So it's not going to be like the greatest design, but we're going to show you the things that you can do, and hopefully we'll come up with something decent. We'll see. I think I've decided that we're probably going to do a fantasy book, so I'm going to go ahead and show you some examples, and we'll get started with the presentation. So the first thing I like to do when I'm coming up with a design idea is I like to do a Google search, or I like to do a search on Amazon and just look at book covers that are current for the genre and the age group that I'm looking for. And I like a lot of these 3-tone with the black and white and one other color. There's also a lot of monochrome. books where there's one color and then a darker color for an image and then a different color for the words. So a lot of these are nice. I also like the glowy elements when it comes to a fantasy book. So I think that we're going to use some of those. There are a lot of these books that have characters on the cover. The only thing I do caution when using characters in Canva is that other people will be using these free images as well. So keep that in mind if you're going to use a person's face or a character image. Now I'm logged into my free account so that you guys can kind of see what you can get. We're going to do a standard book cover. You can always resize this up at the top left hand. There's an option to resize, and I found a couple of templates, so we're going to work with the two that I found that kind of give an idea of what we're going to go with. And what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and use these Canva templates and recreate them using the free items, because these templates come and they look lovely, but they're all watermarked, which means that you've got to pay for them. Now you do have the option to pay for each of these items if you want to and not have a paid account. But otherwise, you can try and recreate the look with the free items, and everything that has a crown on it is paid. So you've got to have the Canva Pro, or you need to pay for those images. So we're going to look really quick to see if we can find a comparable image that we can use for our crown. And I believe I found one that we can use, and it's not exactly what I'd like to use. I'd like to use a fuller crown, but when you're not paying for the items, you don't always find what you're looking for. And we're also on a time limit here, so I don't have time to do a full in-depth search. So we've chosen our crown, and we're checking now the fonts. We can reuse these fonts as long as they're free. So everything same in the fonts. If it is not free, then it will have a crown beside it. So we're going to use these free fonts that are on the image and just try to recreate the look of these templates. And then writing the just little parts of the cover to make the cover look fuller. There's some elements that we're going to have a harder time finding, and I wasn't able to find exactly what I was looking for. So I'm using a filter to edit the spotlight sprinkles to give us kind of that sprinkly look that is on both of these books. And then once I use the filter to turn them from yellow to black and white, you kind of get creative when you're trying to use the free elements. And we're going to make this book cover look as much like what they have as we can. And I do like a light element. You can take that or leave that. That little glowy element that is common in a lot of fantasy books. And then just adjusting to make it look as nice as I can, because even though it's a free elements, we still want our book cover to look nice. So I'm just working on it, fix it up, work on those details, place where you want all of your elements to be, where you want your title. So you see, you can actually make something fairly comparable with a free account and make something that looks very close to what they have for the templates by just replacing it with free elements versus the paid elements. And next we're going to move to my paid account, and we'll try to recreate one of these looks from scratch, and with access to things like the background removers and the drop shadows and all of the other bells and whistles. And we've got access now to all of the elements. So I kind of picked out these two to kind of go off of to give us some ideas. I like the sword and I like the crown. And the good thing is, if we want to, we can just copy those and move them over to our blank page, because again, we have access to everything. And then we'll just need to do a background remover for this, which is really cool that we have access to this. And anything that comes out looking strange, we can go into the background remover again and really fine tune that removal of anything that we don't want. All of that access can go. So that's one of the really neat things about the paid account, is that you have access to kind of like trim things up, change the image. So I'm making the sword a little bit finer here, and just detailing it a little bit more, getting rid of the elements of it that I don't want. So that way also the sword looks a little bit more unique, in case, you know, this sword shows up in other places. I kind of like this crown, so we're going to use it for now. I'm going to again show you the background remover and what you can do with the background remover on the crown as well. And anytime you mess something up, you can just back out, hit the undo, and try it again. So I'm going to just finally fix this crown, but I think I might look for another one. but I want to show you how you can. That's why I'm not going to pay too much attention to all the details, because I think I'm actually going to use a different crown. The other thing that you can do, go into, if you don't like the color, you can use the filters to change the color. I'm making this one more of a monotone because I just wanted a black and white sword. So now I'm going to go through and look for different backgrounds till I find kind of a black or a black and white background that I like. And it's going to wash these things out a little bit, but we're going to use either some smoke or clouds or something later to make the sword and the crown pop. But for now, I'm just trying to find a good background. I think I like this one. Again, I've decided I'm going to change that crown, and I found one that doesn't need much to it. So we're going to just go ahead and use this new crown. Do any fine tuning. I think I just want to like check it. I just want to see what it looks like with different filters on to give it a little bit of pop before I go into all of the other things that we need to do. And I'm going to put a general title here for the moment, but I do need to find some good fonts and a good title for this. I hadn't come up with anything. So we're going to go with the Queen's Sword. And I'm going to use that O. I like the idea of using elements of the font mixed in with the images that we use. So I'm going to use that O to encircle the end of the sword. I just need to find a good font for it. I actually kind of like the font for the sword up above, so I might use that one. But we're going to try a few things here and see if I like anything else better. And no, we're just going to use that one because it's it's a really good it's a good font for that. But for the Queen, we're going to make that one a little bit fancier. And then we need to put our author name, and then just a little tiny blurb will come later. Let's give this book cover a little bit more definition so that things will pop a little bit more instead of looking like white on white. We're going to use these glowy butterflies to add that sparkly element, and also we have some other glow images. It looks a little washed out on one screen. It doesn't look washed out on my other screen. I've got both screens up. So we'll see how it ends up looking in the end. If it looks too washed out, I might remove those butterflies, but I might like it. So you can also add some color. One of the things I like to do is I like to duplicate. If I like something but I want to start making changes, I'll just duplicate it so that I can keep working with the other one that I had. And this works well if you have a series. It's very popular to do the series, the books similar, and then just change the color for each of the books. So we're going to do one green and one blue and keep working with that. So I like these fonts. I like these colors. The butterflies are a little bright. They look magical, but hey, we've only got a few minutes to work here. So I'm already going to have to speed this up or cut it. Let's see. We're going to add some color and change some things out. I'm moving things around just to get it to look the way that I want it to look. And you'll end up playing with these for hours, but we're going to see what we can do in just a few minutes. So we're going to add some drop shadow on the lettering to let the letters pop a little bit. And we're going to go through and we're going to do this for all of them, for the red and the green as well. Moving things around, you're going to just adjust things to make sure that the wording and everything are where you want them to be, trying them up. And I'm going to put the little book blurb down below and raise everything up. I think that's the way that I want this book to go. And I think that looks really, really nice. It does look a little bit bright and washed out on one of my screens. So it might look that way to you with the glowy butterflies. So I might change those here. But first I need to work on the drop shadow on the fonts. One thing at a time. Getting those to look as nice as I can. All right, and we're going to work on each one of these. This is what they look like in the red and in the green. And I think that that is okay. Keep in mind that if you find images you like, if you click on the image, there's 3 dots. If you click on those 3 dots, you can actually see who the creator is, and that way you can find more images by that creator, especially if you're doing a series or if you want to use art for other things relating to your book, then it's good to have elements that look similar, that have a similar look. Now I'm just going to add another smoky cloud behind this sword to let it pop just a little bit more. give it a little bit more definition, and that also helps those butterflies to stand out just a little bit more as well. But whenever I'm changing up something like getting rid of the butterflies, I'm just going to duplicate that image that I liked. That way I can have it both ways. I can see what it looks like with the butterflies and what it looks like without. And then I can later make a decision on which one I prefer. So you can do that with whatever images that you're creating as well. It did take a little bit longer than I hoped. It took about 40 minutes to do both of them. So I quickly went through and did a voiceover for that. But here you have the two covers. And I do recommend always reading the terms and agreements, terms for any time you're going to use any images or fonts so that you know if there's anything that changes. So there's your two covers, and next we're going to show you how to make covers as a full wrap and then how to use your covers for all of your social media. Thank you so much, and we're moving on to the next.
Hello, I am Laura Nettles, an author of Mostly Horror, and today I'm going to go over different aspects of formatting in Canva. This is great. Let me share my screen. So to start with, you are in your KDP account on Amazon, and you select your book, and you go to the paperback contents, where you can pick the interior, what size you want, if it is a PDF with a bleed, or if it's like on Microsoft Word with no bleed, what kind of cover you want. And then you'll upload your manuscript and your cover. So for the cover, what you can do is download a template, which is right here. It'll take you to here, where you can select what it is. So is it a paperback or a hardcover, black and white, what kind of paper, what way you're reading it, you want inches or millimeters, and what size are your papers. So do you want a 5x8, 5.5 by 8.5, 6x9? Those are the normal ones. So let's do a 5.5 by 8.5. And you have to know your page count, because the number of pages will affect your spine width. So let's say we have a 300-page paper. Then we can calculate the dimensions. It'll show us here all of the inches for the spine, the safe area, the spine margin, all that stuff. You can also download the template. So it'll download it to your computer. So this is the full cover. So these are what we're going to want for Canva. So when we switch to Canva, we're going to want to create a design. And let's do a custom size. We want it in inches, and we want it to be 11.926 by 8.75. And create new design. So here you have the full spread out version of your cover with the front, where the spine will be, and the back all together. So let me open up that zip file and drop one right on top. So we're going to need to make this as big as the actual document size. And this will be a guide for, this is the safe zone for your front cover. The red are the, you don't want anything important in the red, especially on the exterior of this red here, because that can be cut off. That's the bleed area. So that's how you get your basic template. Download it from Amazon and pop it into Canva. So this is going to be your full cover. What you can also do is create a new design as well for a book cover. There are lots of different ones to choose from, and there are templates. So you can scroll through and find one that is close to what you would like with the feel for your genre. So let's go with this one. We want to customize the template. So this is the front cover. And say I want to keep the novel, but I want it to be by me. Change that. Maybe I want to make it bigger. I like this font. I like the watercolor look. So instead of waiting for you, perhaps it's Calico Skies. So we have this. Looks like this is a completely separate image down there. Yeah. So you can totally mess with the brightness, the saturation, the contrast, all of that. You can look for other elements. So let's see if there's any other watercolor girls. So maybe I want this one instead. So let's remove that and add her instead. So, all right, we got Calico Skies by me. Ta-da! So this can be used for your ebook cover because it doesn't have the spine or the back. So what we're going to do, paste. Okay. And I like this one, so I will attach from the background, copy it, undo, over here, paste. It's nice and big, which is awesome. So I'm going to send it back. And this template, I will make transparent. So we can still see the general guides. Let's send that to the back as well for now. So for this, if you want the front and the spine and the back to all be one big image, I would make this all the way and then set it as the background. So we get this again. So this is the front cover. So you want this to be in between this edge of the red and this edge of the red. So now we can mess with making the spine and the background. So let's make a text. Calico Skies. You want it to be the same as this. I'm going to make it go 90 degrees. Not 90. There we go. And let's start with 25. Still too big. Those flourishes are going into the red. 20. And when it has this dotted line, that is completely center of the entire composition. So that is what we want for the spine. So we want the dotted line. And if we want it to be the center of the top half, we can make the text box go all the way from the top to the center. And then this will automatically be in the middle. That Calico Skies. And then if I want it to be bold, and there's no bold option for this particular font, there is a hack. Copy, paste, put it right over top, go to effects, and make it hollow. And then you can adjust the thickness of the hollow. But yeah. So that's a hack that I use a lot. And then we've got that. And we can make the author name. Then let us do the font to match this font. So this font is Alice, and this font is Alice. Don't want to fold for this one. Make this 90. And if we also want that to be centered, we would do it to the center and to the bottom. So you can also mess with how big you want it. So now we have a front and a spine. Now for the back, we can add the blurb, things like that. So you just want to keep it within here and here. So we can make up like our tagline. So this part of the red. Something there. And thing there. And it's centered. And we want it to be that. I think that font's a little too frilly for this part. So and then you can add your description and it will automatically center over this if you wait for that dotted line to show up. And then you can give your synopsis. So let's do, so I want it to be narrower than that. So let's make it more like that. Wait for the dotted lines and indent it. Got a synopsis. And then you can, this is where the barcode will be. So you want to make sure you leave that blank. And yeah. You can add your photo. So let me drop in my author photo. If you have the dotted lines, it's lining up with the edge of this. And then I can add another little thing of text here, making it line up with the edge of the synopsis. And this is my author bio. So Laura Nettles is a California girl living in Canada. She likes regional effects by day and pens terror by night. This is too big. Not the loading wheel of death.
Yes, we have been having some storms, so it is giving me some issues with the internet. But let me try and get it refreshed and get it back going.
Font. So now it's centered with the photo and aligned with the edge of the synopsis. The synopsis could probably go farther to the edge of the barcode. So more like there. And then have that match. And have this match with. Let's see, that's about better. Okay. And back to the edge of the barcode. Yeah. So once you get to a certain point, you can remove the guides. And there is your basic cover with a front, spine, and back. That should work when you upload it to Canva. So all of your words should be within the printable margins, and there is space for your barcode. And you can always go around adding more. Okay. Yeah. So that is the basics. So you can be able to share, download, and you want to save this as a PDF print and hit download. Then you can upload it to KDP. So that's the super basics of how to make a book cover in Canva. I do have Pro, so not all of these templates and elements may be available to you, but if you have Pro, you're good to go.
I'm Esther Marie Andujar. I will be covering ebook covers and kind of like marketing materials for your social medias. If you're doing cover release or teasing the cover, things like that, we will be using Canva. And I will be showing you some templates I made on the paid account that I have on Canva, but I will also use an account that I have that is not paid to show you guys that you can, do this without having to pay. Though I do recommend, if you are not paying for Canva, if you don't have Canva Pro, it is the best practice will be to actually purchase the images that you will be using or commission the art that you will be using so you can own the rights when you're selling your book. But I wanted to start with kind of like the dimensions that KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing, recommends for ebook covers. This usually is standard in all of the book retailers. So if you have your ebook cover within this parameters, you will be good to go. Usually the ideal, and they talk about pixels, they do recommend to be within 2,560 pixels in height and then 1,600 pixels on width. The cool thing about Canva is that they do kind of like set you up in between those measurements. Okay, this is the one that I use that doesn't have a paid account. So you can search book and go to book covers. As you can see, they're kind of like default is 1,410 in pixels and 2,250 pixels. So you can see this is the width, the 1,410, and the height is 2,250. I apologize, pixels, which is within the framework that Kindle Direct Publishing recommends. I'm going to show you some of the kind of like templates that I made playing with Canva as for like a book cover, like a book cover reveal, or maybe a teaser. So this is with my paid account. A lot of these images are paid, are with the Pro version, but we will go and do a few of this with my free account so you can see that you will be able to do this kind of things. So just a couple of ideas. This is one of the cool things about Canva. So you can do a variety of things. You can have the book laying down, standing up, on a phone, on a tablet, and there's some they call like frames of a computer. So let's do those. So we're gonna start with a like square post, like an Instagram square post. So we're gonna go to photos. And I am searching, let's do a desk. We're just gonna set image as background, and then we can double click and kind of like move it to either side. And then here's the cool part. When you're on Elements, you can go on Frames. You click See All, and then you'll see that you have frames for like a desktop or a phone or a tablet. This will be like an open book. This is like a standing book. This could be like a lay flat book. So I made up a cover. This is the cover that I made up. Random. And I'm gonna go, I already uploaded. So I go to upload. And the cool thing about having those already frames is that you don't really have to resize the cover. You may have to like I did, move it a little bit so it can show the author name, but a lot of the times you won't have to. Let's do another one. Go to frames again. This time I'm gonna use a phone. A little bit big, but that's okay. I can resize it just a little bit, and then I can go and upload again. Click on the image, move it a little bit just so the system Canva would understand that I want the photo in this frame. That's another way. Now, if you want to be like, this is like a cover teaser, might as well just do black if I can do the gradient that I want. Let's go to Elements. We're gonna do this. So it can kind of like look like a book that is standing. I'm gonna go and grab my book cover, and I'm gonna move it enough to show the name of the author. And then I'm gonna go to Elements, get out of here, and then I'm gonna do a brush. I'm gonna look for a brush stroke. I usually go to graphics, and we're gonna use this. And that way it's a little bit on the teasing side, because you can see a little bit, just enough that it is kind of like a teaser. And you can also use different strokes. A lot of these are, paid, but there's plenty that aren't. And you can just like wiggle with them. You might not want to do this. You might want to do this one. I prefer to use white. Then I move it. It's just, an idea. And you can just keep scrolling and finding kind of like the brush stroke that you want to use to kind of like cover the cover. And you can just like fiddle with it. And, you can do this kind of thing. This is the cool, and those frames, as you have seen, they're not behind a paywall. So even if you don't have a paid account, you will be able to do that. Just make sure that you do own the rights of your cover. Now, if we want to do a reel or a TikTok where we are not, recording ourselves, so you can, let's see, you can do this, you can change I'm sending it backwards so it's still in front of the image, the grayish image, but it's now behind the errors and the lettering. There's plenty of reels that you guys can use as templates. You can also start from scratch. You want to start from zero. I just want the dimensions already set, and then I'm just going to build it from there. You can do that too. You can, if it's for like a book, like teaser, I will probably, and then we can go again to frames, see all, and we can use, let's do this. And then it's kind of like a little bit of a teaser, or maybe just a little bit, so we can kind of tease the cover and the title. Can do another frame, and that could be like a teaser. And you can kind of like add some text. I wanted to go back to here just in case. So let's say you don't like the phone frame or the ebook frame that Canva has, and you wanna have the ebook already. So you're probably gonna have to keep on resizing and get a little bit closer so you can kind of fill in the gaps. And you're probably gonna have to like zoom in pretty well so you can make sure that it looks as legit as possible. So when is like seen on your social media, it kind of like looks believable. Again, this is if you want to like have something that actually has the Kindle thing, like actually looks like a Kindle. It's sort of difficult. I will always recommend to find a picture that doesn't have a hand like in the way of the screen, so you can do this. And it's kind of tricky if you don't want to have to like spend so much time fiddling with the resizing and kind of like moving the like moving the image so all the important parts are in it. I will just recommend to go with the frames. Also, this is a cover that is easier to do this kind of thing. So if my cover was more elaborate and I need the entire cover to show, this is going to be like very, very hard to pull. Probably the frames will work better, but it can be done. Take advantage of everything that Canva has. And yeah, I will be around for any questions.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We are here. We do have some questions, and I'm going to go through a couple of those. And I already told my guests that if there are any things that they thought that they missed, that they're like, oh, I wish I'd have put that in the presentation, to let me know, and we'll share those. So I need to get rid of my share screen here. Was there anything that either one of you wanted to share really quick that you felt like, oh, I wish I'd have shown that? And then we'll go through the questions.
I can't remember who said it, but somebody said, oh, there is Ariadne. You can do the free trial of Canva Pro if you wait until you know like your spine size and stuff already, and just do it all in one go with the free trial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just make sure you're not using anything Like just again, just make sure you own what you're selling, like actually. So just so you're not in any legal danger.
Yeah. Always be careful with that. So that's why I recommend always, no matter what, read the terms of services that they have, and they are constantly changing, because it might be that something that you use during the free trial you may be able to continue to use, but they might say no once every. So make sure that you're reading and staying current. I know that they did change them late last year, so maybe some things that if you did cover designs like 2 years ago using Canva, double check, read up, because some things did change. I think that they changed for the better, though, from what I understand, and it just cleared up some things like that. You can't use it for trademarks, like if you want to trademark your logo, because to trademark an image, of course, means that no one else can use it. So you can't trademark their fonts or their images that way. But for most other things, you should be good to go. I'm saving this one for a question, because Shannon asked a question. But I did show you guys that you could do a drop shadow on your words, but you can also do the drop shadow on your images. So if you have an image that you like and you do the, this is not my image, this is one from a template. It just stood out to me that I'm like, oh, that really looks really kind of like cut out right here. You can add a drop shadow if you have the paid account with this as well. So you have shadows. There's the background remover, magic eraser, magic edit, all of these, autofocus, auto blur. But here you can add shadows on that to make it look a little bit more natural. And you'll see, how about I click on her so that you can see? There we go. So you can see it adds a shadow, and then you can adjust how much of a shadow you want. And if you don't like that kind, I wouldn't use that kind for an image like that, but I would use the glow shadow like this, or I would use a drop shadow. And you can see that it makes her look a little bit more natural on the background. And if you wanted her to glow, because if you've got a fantasy, you could actually make her glow. So there's a lot of things that you can play with. There were so many things, like we really had just a few minutes to do our presentations, and I know we were all like, oh, there's so many things. But if you have any questions later on, you can always ask down in the description, and find us on our channels. Everybody's linked, and you can ask us there. So because we'd love to answer, because we love doing stuff like this. It's a lot of fun, as well as helpful. I've done like my book covers for my romance novels. I've done using Canva, and my daughter was like, whose book is that? I'm like, that's mine. Those are the ones I made. So you can actually make book covers that look like real book covers. Christina had a question. Can you explain the benefits for the paid membership? Canva has changed so much over the years. How much access do you really get from the paid membership? I'll start with on the design side of things, so much. Even because I haven't been on the non-paid in so long, that when I went through, I was like, holy smokes, I could only find like 2 or 3 crowns to use to try to imitate their image. And I was like, so just the images alone, and then editing those images, the background remover, if you don't have that without the paid. So and the other benefit with the paid is that there are other platforms that you can use to make your book covers, but you're not just getting the book covers with Canva. And I'm not being promoted. This is not promotional. This is just me as someone who uses Canva. So if I start sounding like a commercial, I don't mean to. But I started with the free, and then I went for the free trial, and I was blown away at all of the things that I could use. That I never went back. It was totally worth the $100. I think it's $119 now, but it was totally worth it for all of the use of doing all of my Instagram, my reels. I've been able to do TikTok now that I'm doing TikTok.
YouTube thumbnails.
YouTube thumbnails. Oh, I use Canva for YouTube thumbnails every single time. So that alone, and to not have any limitation on what images I can use, doing the drop shadows, and cutting out when I was like, I was doing that in GIMP before, the cutting out the person, and I go through and I have to erase the whole thing, and I'm like, look at this, one click with Canva, boom, all my guests are outlined. And then I put a shadow around them is how you get the glow. So that made it totally worth it for the amount of use that I got out of it, not just for being able to make my mock covers. Because at the time I was just making mock covers. I just started using them to make actual covers for my romance novel. Anybody else? Because
I use it as well for presentations. I make all my slides in Canva. I make some of my countdown timers in Canva when I have a different image for each second. So yeah, it's useful for me. For my actual cover, like my real book cover, I did the front back spine in Canva and then exported it into Photoshop when I bought my fonts and did the text in Photoshop. So it was a combo of Canva and Photoshop.
I make all of my social media on Canva, like reels, posts, sometimes even stories. I make them there because they just have the measures there. I make my thumbnails. I make my covers. It has well worth pay. Canva Pro. Also, I will drop the link for the content license agreement with Canva. There is if you make your cover there, you can sell your books. There's you don't have any problem with it. Like they detail what all the things you're permitted to use when using Canva Pro. So I'm gonna drop that in.
Thank you.
I also use Canva for making all of my book reviews that I post on Instagram. So those are fun.
Excellent. Yes, it easily just doing a quick cover. I was like, holy moly, doing one with 40 minutes. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have to speed through all this. So I was like, you guys have any questions? Because I know it's going fast. But hopefully my explaining all the things that you could do was helpful. So good for the YouTube thumbnails. Let's get to another question. Shannon said, are there any genres you might find harder to do in Canva? I think that the hardest genre to do would probably be something like the YA fantasies, because those covers by themselves are very, very busy. So trying to, in your mind, imagine what it's going to look like and then make it look that way with all of the elements, especially if you have a free account, might be challenging. So I would recommend, if it's your first time out doing, and you're like, I'm a fantasy or sci-fi as well, because you've got, lots of spacey stuff. If it's your first time, I would recommend doing something like these covers, which are also very popular right now in fantasy, where it's just the monotone type of covers, because these will work really well. They fit in the genre. I think these might work for some other genres as well. For your first time out, keep it simple and keep working and practicing until you get really good at it. But then once you get good and you're comfortable with cutting things out in the drop shadows, you can do things like that. And yeah. Well, there was another one I wanted to show, but here's. Let me grab one that looks really.
Ariadne says, some libraries and most all academic libraries offer Canva Pro access. Ask around at your local library branch.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. That is the new page. Something like this. There's a lot of elements in here, like this one. And you'll get good at layering all of these elements, but things like that, some people might find a little bit harder. So you see what they're doing to make that look like that? So fantasy, my romance novels weren't hard, But I think if you want to do the graphic with the little graphics, it's finding the right graphics to make to look like the couple, and then placing them right. But the more spacey or magical things, just getting those placed properly are probably going to be make sci-fi and fantasy just a little bit more challenging. And do you find better engagement through IG posts, IG Reels, TikToks, or others? I've recently started doing all of them, and in the immediate, shorts get, depending on the shorts and when you post them, my shorts get hundreds to thousands of views that day. TikToks do the best next, but usually not right away. Over the span of a few days, my TikToks will get about 1 to 500 depending on the TikTok. IG is the lowest for me, but I'll get it posted on IG reel and it could get 20 views, it could get 300 views, but all worth it, all worth it. But if you're wanting to say, where do I focus? But I also post the same ones. So it's the same on Instagram as it is on YouTube as it is on TikTok. So I recycle those.
Yeah. So whenever anyone asks this question, I'm always asking, who is your reader? Because, for example, let's be very, very specific. If you're a romance writer who writes pretty spicy or pretty dark, pretty much your entire readership is on TikTok. So any TikTok you do there, it's gonna be seen. And if you engage with other indie authors in the platform, the algorithm will start to even pick your TikToks even more, because it's like, oh, they're like-minded, so let's show your content to the same people that were already showing this like-minded content. So it's really dependent on who's your reader and where they spend the time. And after you know that, then you find what type of content per se you enjoy to do. Do you enjoy to be in front of the camera? Do you enjoy to do more aesthetic things? Do you enjoy doing like the imagine you're in this and then a bunch of like a video type of aesthetic? Like do you not enjoy doing videos and you just prefer to do posts? Like it's a very newsroom conversation. So start with who's your reader. Honestly, who's your reader?
Yes. All right, guys, that is all we have time for. Thank you so much for coming and joining us for this. Again, if you have any other questions, you can follow us down below, especially when we're doing our live streams on YouTube or on Twitch. It's a perfect time to ask us questions because we have all of our time to answer any questions and show you all the things. So I'm going to let my guests say goodbye really quick, and then we'll head to happy hour.
Woohoo! I'm Laura Nettles, author of Tiny Shivers, 101 horror short pieces. I have a YouTube channel called Laura Nettles where I do live streams every other Thursday, and I will see you around.
I'm Esther. I will be streaming on my channel in 15 minutes. So the first 15, I will be hanging out with on chat at the after hour. Any questions, hit me at my channel or my socials.
Same here. You can find me here on YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, Twitter. Ask me any questions that you like. I stream there regularly. I'm a mama for a Loki mom, and I'm writing things. Thank you guys for coming. We'll see you later. Bye.